Hello and welcome to the Philippines. Rainy day ride here. We're going from Cebu City to north to Consolacion. I've been corrected on my pronunciation of that. Right here to the left is, or to the right, is Castle Peak Hotel. A number of you have stayed there. This is Cabahog Street. If back the other direction, Ayala, just a few, Ayala Mall, and the Cebu Business Park, just a few blocks back. Coconut cart there, you push that all over the city selling. Right here to the left is Sarosa Hotel. I've done a video there as well as Castle Peak Hotel. Sarosa also has a few condominiums. They've got studios and larger, I think like 2-bedroom places that you can rent out. And as we ride along here on this rainy day, I'm going to just point out a few things. Give you an idea, a little feel for Cebu City. We're going to go up through Mandaue City. We're going to cross over from Cebu City to Mandaue City up here a bit. You got a number of restaurants, Burger King, Jollibee, Shakey's Pizza, Greenwich Pizza Place. Sykes building here, a big call center type area right in here. And what you'll find in a couple checkpoints there, but the checkpoints really aren't checking very many people at the present time here in January of 2021. That tall building on the middle right is Cityscape Condominiums. The green buildings off to the left, 3 towers. That's Bamboo Bay. I lived there for a little over a year, I believe, in a 3rd floor, what was called a garden unit. There was a small studio, 22 square meters, hotel right there ahead of us, and had a 10 square meter garden balcony type area, which was kind of nice. But you know, if half of that would have been living space, actually, that would have been much better. These couple of raindrops on the camera, they're going to fall off here in just a bit, and a little bit annoying to have that little blur there. But anyway, if you follow, and when I lived at Bamboo Bay, I walked this street many times, walked down and past what was the North Bus Terminal, Cebu North Bus Terminal, and then walk further down, and then you have SM Mall down there. If you would be so kind to hit that like button down below the video, that sure helps promote the videos in the channel. Much appreciated if you do that. One of the flyovers right below us is another main street going north and south. I think we're kind of going east, maybe southeast a little bit presently. We're going to turn north here in a little bit. And a lot of the roads here in town do not go in straight north, south, east, west direction, so you can get turned around pretty easily. That new big building up ahead, that is a big new Ayala project that is will be commercial as well as residential units in there. And I've tried to get an appointment, tried to get in and find out more details about that, but as of now, I have not been able to contact the proper people. We are now in Mandaue City, actually back there by Cityscape Condominium. There's a creek, a water creekway there, and that is pretty much the dividing line between Cebu City and Mandaue City. And there are 3 cities, they're called the Tri-Cities here in Cebu City, Mandaue City, and across the bridge on Mactan Island, Lapu-Lapu City, which is a big part, Lapu-Lapu being a big part of Mactan Island. That's where the international airport is. And there's 2 bridges going over there. Another busy intersection, no lights, no stop signs, and it works. It just seems to work here very efficiently. Very seldom do you hear impatient horns honking. Very rarely do you see, here's another one, busy, big intersection. People just go. They stop, they slow down, they look, they go. One side will make way. Off here to the right, you got two different hospitals. A UC Medical Center, I believe. Yeah, UC Med. And then up here on the right, you have Chunghwa Hospital. They've got one here and one over in Cebu City. Off to the left, there's actually a water park, hotel and water park off to the left, as well as MO2, which is a bar entertainment type area. They've got big many karaoke rooms in there. They've got serve some food and entertainment. Not sure if they're quite open yet. Off to the right, this is kind of a new business area. You got Jamestown here, which has a big restaurant right in this area. A lot of outdoor seating. We're coming up to Parkmall. Parkmall is an older, smaller mall, but I kind of like it. I kind of like Parkmall. I've done the videos in there. This is a bit of a bus terminal here now. It used to be full of jeepneys. Off to the left, you can't see it, but it's called Times Square. And the bars and restaurants, walked through there a few weeks ago, and virtually everything is closed down, I believe permanently, the bars and the restaurants, because of the present medical situation. I think these white lines here, the solid white line, I think that's basically to turn a big section of this into bike lanes. Not absolutely positive, but something new that I've seen. They're using traffic cones in some areas and blocking off one of the lanes of traffic. There are a lot more bicycles out here. A lot of people bought bicycles because there wasn't enough transportation for 10 months. Still isn't, I believe, but you had no buses, you had no jeepneys. Hobble Hobble, the motorbike taxis, were not allowed to operate. So people were walking for hours sometimes, those who were lucky enough to have a job. Off to the right here is the old Mandaue. It's a convention center. It was an old convention center. And 2013 there was an earthquake that hit off the hole and did some damage here. That place was damaged at that point in time, just been sitting. I've read a number of articles over the last few years about different plans to do things with it, and it's been sold once or twice, I think, and then some issues with the sale or something. Even now, I think there are issues with the last sale. If it was sold back, I don't remember the details. Sold back to Mandaue City, so they could decide what to do with it. A year or so ago, I read that somebody had made some plans. Now this blue and yellow building to the left, that's one of Gaisano, I believe it's a Grand Mall, Gaisano Grand Mall. But anyway, recently there's some issues about whether that was, the last sale was a legal sale, so there's all sorts of legal issues with that property apparently, for whatever reason. I had read that one group was hoping to turn it into a large multi-use development, commercial, residential, retail space in there, but haven't read anything else about that, so not sure what's going to happen to it in the long run. Presently, I think a lot of these squatter villages, the poor areas that end up burning, displacing hundreds of families. I think that they're housing many people in there. I haven't been by there in ages, but they put people in there and build some sort of temporary type housing for them, I think, and let them occupy that space. The earthquake apparently it did some structural damage to that building, and then there was a typhoon that came through this area back in 2013 as well, kind of a double whammy, earthquake and a typhoon. The typhoon hit the north half of Cebu Island much worse than it did this area, but I had friends that lived here on Mandaue Island. They said, yeah, their walls were shaking. They thought they were going to come down on top of them. So a lot of heavy wind back then. But pretty much Cebu Island is protected from the outer islands. You have Bohol Island to the east. You have Samar, as well as Leyte Island, and also the northeast side of Mindanao reaches up into that area. And even though most of the typhoons don't go that far south, some do, and that helps to block some of that energy as well before it hits the Cebu Island. Now, I've made 3 trips to the Philippines and lived in the Cebu City area for about 5 years, a little over 5 years, and prices, the demand and prices, the growth of the city has been going up for 6 or 7 years, I believe, at least. A lot of development, a lot of demand, the call centers, the business centers. And under the present situation, rentals and sales prices are being affected, Manila and the different cities. And I'm working on maybe 2 or 3 or 4 different videos about renting and buying, what's happening to some of the properties, and that'll be coming up in the coming week or 2. Lack of information is one of the big issues. There's a lot more information about Manila than there is about the rest of the country. But I do have some information about Cebu and a few other the bigger cities as well. Now, this is kind of a frontage road. You got Pacific Mall up here on the right, and this driver is going to take a little break in the barriers here and get out into the main traffic. This is more. This is the traffic. If you want to make a right-hand turn, you're supposed to be over in this lane. If you want to go to Pacific Mall, right here. Pacific Mall again is a smaller mall, but most of these malls have a grocery store. They've got electronic stores, phone stores, clothing stores. Almost all of them have a hardware store inside. So pretty much anything that you would need outside of the ordinary. You know, if you need some specific things, different types of adapters, you might have to try to find it online. You don't have stores like Best Buy and Fry's Electronics. You don't have big stores like that. Maybe you do have some in Manila. Traffic enforcer there, waving everybody on. But that is something. If you've been living in a big city where you can walk into an electronics store and buy pretty much anything you want, not the case here. There are adapters that are not available. Even online, I've had difficulty finding a few things that I've wanted, and you won't get overnight delivery. Maybe a week or 2 weeks for many things. Presently, here in January, middle of January 2021, pretty much little to no travel being allowed into the Philippines. As many of you know, there's medical lockdowns all over the world. You know, places you might have been able to travel to or from. A couple weeks ago, they've decided there's some new strain of virus that it's enough to scare a lot of people, and so they're just locking down their borders. As far as traveling on an island, if you are living on or staying on an island, it really varies by the island. Now here in Cebu, we have freedom of some travel. If you have a work permit, you're allowed to go and do certain things, essential type things. They've opened up a number of resort areas, but there are some requirements and restrictions. You know, many places you need to get the negative PCR test, which is and follow a number of different protocols. Be restricted in your movement when you get to those places. So I don't think most places are not having very much luck attracting domestic tourists at the present time. I don't believe, from everything that I've heard. And traffic, you know, people give way. Actually, the motorbikes and smaller cars, they will turn 2 lanes into 3 or 4 lanes. They will slide over and allow, like here again, pretty busy street here, but it's there's no stop signs, no stop lights. People stick their nose out, and eventually people stop. They give them way. You didn't hear impatient people honking their horn or screaming at one another, confronting one another. It works here. People are more patient, and they work with a system that they have. Motorbikes, even in California, many people don't know California, even though on the freeway with cars moving 70, 80 miles an hour. Motorcycles are allowed to use that center lane, and I think like one cyclist dies about every day, I think. I read that quite a number of years ago. Down from 2 a day previously. That's what I read many years ago. Not sure how accurate that is. There's quite a few expats who have moved outside of the city. It's cheaper to live, pretty much in most cases, generalization, to live outside of the city, outside of Cebu City, Mandaue City area, for instance, outside of Manila, outside of Iloilo City, Bacolod City. You move out 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers, 30 kilometers, and the price, you can probably get a place to rent much cheaper. Generally, you have a hospital that can handle your basic stuff. Serious stuff, you'd have to go into Cebu City, the bigger city, or even very serious, probably even Manila. But it's different lifestyle, more laid back. Even Mactan Island, my experience being over in Mactan Island quite a number of times is that it's more laid back than Cebu City. And guy given a citation to this truck for something. You see these guys, they'll just pull somebody over and check their documents, see if they're got the proper document to be traveling, see if they have a license, registration. So there are many developments. There's housing developments. You don't see the high-rises, very few high-rises once you get out of the major cities. But a lot of housing developments with townhouses, attached and unattached houses. And so you can, of course, you can buy a house. You cannot own, foreigner cannot own land here. So you need to have it in somebody else's name. If you set up a corporation, that is one way people have done it, I guess, but there's some legal issues with that, I guess. I am not a lawyer, and I do not play one on television. Anyway, interesting ride up there. This is going, this road will take you all the way up to the north tip of Cebu, at which point you can get on at different ports up there. You can get on a ferry, taking you over to Malapascua Island, which I've done videos at Malapascua and a different port, Hagnia, I think. You can take a ferry over to Bantayan Island, very popular tourist area. And rushing through traffic, use the middle lane. There again, people give way there. Anyway, thanks for coming along on this ride. Was a rainy day, but fortunately not a hard downpour. Nice to get out and see some other areas. And if you're coming in the morning in rush hour traffic, that hour and a half trip probably turns into a 2-hour trip. But anyway, Take care, and I'll see you next time.